Good afternoon, everybody. Time for a wolfofbricks.com update. Once again, I am Jim, and this is where we talk about Lego investing and reselling. So I'm actually really nervous to talk about this because I'm pretty certain after this video is released, I'm going to be getting a few text messages. Not only that, but it's been a good almost 10 years since I worked at Barnes & Noble. And for some reason, I feel like as soon as I hit send on this video, that the loss prevention people will, be calling me up wanting to ask me questions and things of that sort. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like this video might get taken down. Not exactly sure why, but this is information that I have kept very secret for many years. Well, Jim, if this is such a secret, how come you're sharing it now? Well, I'm sharing it now because I just don't use Barnes & Noble anymore. This is something that the window has kind of closed for me. I used to get, for the many, many people out there that don't know, I used to get my Legos wholesale from Barnes & Noble, right? And ever since COVID hit, that has dried up for me. There are other people I know that still use Barnes & Noble. And Barnes & Noble, it's not... I don't want to say it's not difficult. It's very challenging to try and get to do what I have done in the past. So, post-COVID, there's just a lot of challenges out there. You have to talk to the right people. I would say the most challenging thing is finding the right person. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But before we go ahead and do all of that, I would like to ask you to like and subscribe this video. I'm giving a lot out in this video, so I hope you appreciate it. And of course, if we do hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of the month, I will be giving out this Bespin Dual set. If we don't hit 3,000 subscribers, I'll probably just go ahead and give it out during the 5,000 subscriber mark. But we will be giving that away. That will be the next set that will be given away. So let's get into this. All right. So Barnes & Noble has two different types of buying programs, right? One is if you are an LLC. The other one is if you're a nonprofit. We're going to talk about the LLC one first. So if you do have an LLC, you more than likely do qualify for the discount purchase program through Barnes & Noble. Now right here, this is a kind of hard to see on the YouTube screen, I'm sure. So the important part right here, I did blow up for you. And as you can clearly see, if you spend less than $5,000, you do get a 20% discount. And if you spend more than $5,000, you do get a 25% off discount. In addition to that 25% off discount that I always got, because all of my purchases were over $5,000. They wouldn't be, 6 or 7, although there were a few times that there would be, but they would usually be $5,049, $5,125. I just wanted to hit that 5,000 mark so I could go ahead and get that 25% off. Now, I also used discounted gift cards, right, which was able to give me an extra layer when it comes to stacking discounts. And I'll be sharing a little bit more with you on that a little bit later. Now, here's the thing. I was talking about you have to find the right person. You have to avoid the Terrys. You have to avoid the Lindas, right? These are the gatekeepers. She looks more like a gatekeeper, especially because she's in front of the Lego, right? She's probably saying, Jim, how come you're taking a photo of me? And this guy, he probably doesn't like his job, or he's been doing it for 20 years and has no motivation. And I'm not trying to be mean. These are the people that you don't want to go to. Now, the problem is there are a lot of these people at Barnes & Noble. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying it because I've worked there for years, during two different decades, the 90s and I think 2010 to 2013 was my last tour. You want to find people that are willing to help. So what I would recommend is I would walk into a Barnes & Noble. If you see a helpful person, I would ask them for an application. Now, more than likely, they're going to not know what you're talking about because this is something that isn't advertised as much as what it used to. And I've gone to some stores where the store manager doesn't even know what you're talking about. But the thing about it is I showed you the actual application, so it does exist. So I would go to a Barnes & Noble, I would try and get an application, and once you have that, I would quickly leave. I would not stick around, I would not do anything else, I would quickly leave. Now, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to fill out that application, and you want to start making phone calls, right? You want to start talking to the community relations managers at certain Barnes & Nobles. Now, Barnes & Noble used to have that position at every location. Not anymore. Now there's probably 1 or 2 in each district due to whatever reasons, right? But you want to go ahead and you want to find them and see if they're willing to help you. Now, here's the thing. I believe they changed their application to now exclude Lego. However, if you find the right community relations manager, they will go ahead and give you 25% off. Trust me. This has happened to me multiple times. So let's just go through a quick scenario on how I was able to capitalize with this program. So we'll use the Falling Water set number 21005 as an example. This set has a recommended retail price of $100, but of course, if you spend more than $5,000, you could get as many of these as you like for $75. Again, if you used your discounted gift cards, which I would buy at 12%, they're not always at 12%, it all depends, then I would get that for $66. But of course, I'm not happy with that. I would buy those gift cards with the credit cards that had the best cash back. So I would get it for, at the very least, $64.50. And of course, they would be tax-free. So I wouldn't pay a penny more than that, right? So if you look at the sale price after a quarter or two, which is pretty, legitimate, the sale price would be around $250. Your return on investment would be $288, which of course is not bad. Now, the second program they have is for 501(c)(3)s. So I have multiple LLCs and I also have a 501(c)(3). Well, why do you have a 501(c)(3)? That's a charitable organization, Jim. Well, it's not that difficult to go ahead and create one, and you never know when you need it. I haven't used it for Barnes & Noble, but I would like to share what has happened for people who have done this. So if you go through their purchase program with the 501(c), you get that product right away, and the payments are deferred for 6 months. Not bad. So if you buy a bunch of Lego in January, you don't have to pay for it in June. Now keep in mind, I've never done this, but that's something that would be an option. And let me also say, of course, this isn't just Lego, right? I mean, Barnes & Noble is pretty strict on Lego, but every now and then you will find somebody that's a little bit more agreeable than the others, and they're willing to do business. Especially those community relation managers, right? They are not exactly like the Barnes & Noble employees at the register or the store manager level. These are contract signed employees that I'm not sure if they're 1099 or not, but they have sales goals they have to achieve. And if they don't make those sales goals, they're out of there. Now, the good news is if they make those sales goals, they make a bonus, which of course incentivizes community relationship managers to want to talk to you. Now, that doesn't mean every community relationship manager will want to talk to you, but there are many out there. For those of you in the Florida area, I was trying to crack the Tampa area. I heard that there are 1 or 2 community relationship managers that are just wheeling and dealing, right? And I have tried, and I've made a bunch of phone calls, and I just couldn't get through, and I just got frustrated, and I stopped. And now I don't even have to worry about them anymore, right? Because I get my Legos somewhere else. But you could, in theory, purchase Lego, have it deferred for 6 months. Whenever it's time to pay that, right, you could go ahead and open up a 0% interest credit card for 18 months. And then if you take that 18 months plus the 6 months that was deferred, you don't even have to pay that full balance for approximately 2 years, right? Now, keep in mind, the information that I am sharing is not investment advice at all. I am just sharing with you my experiences and my thoughts when it came to purchasing quantities of Lego through Barnes & Noble. So let's talk about the don'ts and don'ts. We're not going to talk about the do's and don'ts. We're just going to talk about the don'ts and don'ts, right? So if for some reason you're lucky enough to crack the code and be able to make a connection and a relationship with an employee at Barnes & Noble, you want to make sure you don't flood your representative with a bunch of electronic gift cards, right? That is the surefire way to break up that partnership. What I would do is I would approach my community relationship manager and I would say, hey, I understand you probably don't want to be bogged down with a bunch of $10, $5 gift cards. Is it okay if the gift cards I give you are in increments of $50 or higher? They've always said yes, and I've been pretty lucky. I had a really good relationship with my rep, and she would tell me about people that would just send $10 gift cards, and we're talking hundreds. If they have a bill that's like $6,000 and they would submit nothing but $10 gift cards, that can be very problematic, right? Also, you don't want to order large quantities. Now, in this situation, 100 units is not a large quantity, right? I would say 500 to 700 is probably a large quantity. I think the largest amount of quantity I had was, I believe, the Guggenheim museums, and I had a little bit over 400, and those were during two purchases. They were, two purchases of 205 or something like that, right? So you will get banned. You will pop up on somebody's radar. You just want to be low profile, right? And you don't want to waste your rep's time. Now, what do I mean by that, right? Well, you don't want to go ahead and give them 200 SKUs via email and says, hey, could you look into this for me, right? Are you really going to buy 200 SKUs? No, I don't think so. So what I would do is I would send an email. The subject title would be product inquiry. And I would have, 5 or 7 SKUs. And I'd say, hey, at your earliest convenience, can you go ahead and check these, see if they're available? And they'll come back. Sometimes all of them will be available. Sometimes only 3 would be available, right? And then you go ahead and you get a quote and you decide if you're going to pull the trigger on it. And that leads us to our last slide. Does anybody have any questions? I'd love to hear them below. I'd be happy to do my best and answer them for you. If you like what you saw, I hope I was able to give something to you. I do a lot of talking about certain sets, but I thought I would actually try and give something to you that's a little bit more steak and potatoes, and I hope I did that in this video. That's it, my friends. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please, don't forget to like and subscribe. Once again, I'm Jim with wolfofbricks.com. Always go out there and get it.